didn't have that, I felt good about becoming a born-again Christian because Jesus is saving for your
HQ, we're in position. Moving in on the village.
And I don't feel
Intelligence indicates that DLL cell headquarters is somewhere within that village. Shut their operation down.
When people ask me, would you change your life? My answer is no. I would do everything again. Right now, I like who I am. That's important. I like who I am. I'm proud of what I am. And whatever I did in my life, everybody, that's what makes you who you are. So there's a lot of people who've done no crime in their whole life. And they're not happy with what they became. Those things in my thinking has made me who I am today. And right now I'm happy about who I am today. I don't know what I would do.
Sandman, we're reading you inside the village.
Playing when they call back, I hate that game, I never do that. You should have thrown a pass, you should have did this. I should have did a lot of things, I understand. But you didn't. And this is your life. And the only person you really have
Moving to that point now. Tango.
more than anybody else. Love yourself and respect yourself. You're finished. You'll never love anybody. So I'm happy at what I am, what I became, and I believe those things, the good, the bad, and the ugly, has made me who I am today. Or I wouldn't be like this.
HQ, we're in position. Moving in on the village.
And that's it. So
Sandman, intelligence indicates that DLL cell headquarters is somewhere within that village. Shut their operation down.
In a way, not so much for me because I know a lot of facts. I know a lot of things weren't true, but I'm sure a lot of people who watched it enjoyed it. But for me, I know the facts. Thank you for watching. Leave the comments below what you feel about the movie or what I said and stuff like that. I would appreciate it. And coming up, I'm going to do another pretty soon. I'm going to because you want to see the Godfather 1 and Godfather 2. You're going to love it. Adios.
HQ, we're in position. Moving in on the village.
Sandman, intelligence indicates that DLL cell headquarters is somewhere within that village. Shut their operation down.
I feel so confident things went well by her. I'm down to my friends and family are all noticing my results. We're going to assessment to get started. And medications are more certain than what is prescribed. I know that 1% of messaging with providers to the HERS app at no extra cost. That way all my injection questions are answered. It even includes half of the time that
Enemy movement.
having a little extra help in my pocket is coming. And ongoing checking are just so I'm very supportive. I never had to wait.
Sandman, we're reading you inside the village.
I started my weight loss journey way sooner.
They're too close. I'm fired. Tango down.
Celebrate at City's 4th of July sale. For a limited time only, get up to 20% off top finds. Plus 60 months.
Grenade away. Moving to that point now.
Granada!
Hey! Down to hostile.
Hey everyone, welcome to another sit down with Michael Francis. As always, I hope everybody is doing well. Everything is okay on this end. Today is Monday, definitely a follower favorite. I know you all like that. And today we're going to do one that I thought I had done already, but for some reason I didn't. I missed it. I don't know how. I think I spoke about it a little bit, but I never really reviewed the movie. We're going to do it in detail today, and it is The Irishman. Easy one for everybody to see. It's on Netflix.
HQ, we found a map.
It's a great movie, but I think
Roger,
you'll enjoy my
Sandman.
review.
We'll have
I'm gonna
intelligence
get
analyze the map when you return. Hopefully it will provide more leads.
So, here we go. The Irishman. good
Tango
show.
eliminated.
Finance. And finally Netflix picked it up. They paid them a whole bunch of money. I think it was well over $150 million production. That kind of cast, and, 3-hour film. And a Scorsese deal, that's what it's going to cost. But Netflix finally picked it up. They spent the money on it. It had a very limited release. The
Understood, sir.
Netflix, you can get it now if you're a subscriber. I recommend that you watch it if you haven't watched it already. I heard a lot of stuff about it. Michael was too long and all this kind of stuff. It was a great movie. Some new things that happened in there. They used this new technology to age some of the actors. Joe Pesci, some of these guys. It's kind of new technology, but for me it works.
I'm here,
It
Commander.
really works. Some people have problems with it. I thought it worked well, and they'll continue
Team,
to do it.
I have additional enemy units headed your way.
But it works well. I think that the actors in one role. You didn't have to use two people as they age.
Hostile sighted northwest of you.
So again, the movie was based upon a book. Sheeran's biography. And again, Frank Sheeran was not the killer of Jimmy Hoffa. He was not the killer of Crazy Joe Gallo. Both of these scenes are depicted in the movie. Didn't happen. Joe Gallo.
HQ, we've disabled the generator.
My crew.
Copy. We'll continue to monitor your progress.
Sheeran did not commit that murder. We know who did. We'll leave it at that. I think some of it became public at some point in time. I don't remember, so I'm not mentioning anything at this point. But anyway, let's get into the film. I will tell you this. There's some scenes in this movie that I thought were really, really good. For me, the two greatest actors in this film were played Jimmy Hoffa. Brilliant. He lit up the screen every time he was on it. Some people say he overacted. I don't think so. I thought he was brilliant. And Joe Pesci, complete departure from what he normally did. He's always the crazy guy. He always lights up the screen also. Now he played a very laid-back Russell Buffalino, who I knew well. I knew Russell. Not that I did business with him, but when I was a recruit coming up, my captain at the time, Andrew Russo, and our boss, acting boss for Persico, Tom DeBella, would meet often with Russ Buffalino. We'd go and drive and meet him. And at the time, I had my automobile agency, I had a car agency, and I was always driving a nice car, so they made me their official driver while I was a recruit. The only thing is, I never drove. I had to sit in the back. Andrew drove, and Tom DeBella sat in the front in the passenger seat. One crazy thing I can just tell you, they both open up
Tango spotted.
You remember that scene in Donnie Brasco?
No choice, going hot!
And he said to Depp, "You're killing me with that draft." I cracked up because that's exactly what was happening to me. I'm sitting in the back. I opened up the window one time. Andrew said, "Hey, you're giving us a draft. Close the window." The place is a cover. So that's the verdict.
Tango down!
Just had to mention it. But anyway, I used to drive him all the time to meet with Russell. They had business going with him. There's some union stuff, a few other things. I really wasn't privy to it because I was a recruit at the time. I didn't get to hear everything.
I'm en route,
I met
sir.
Russell several times. He was a gentleman. He was very laid back. I enjoyed being in his company. He always treated me well with a lot of respect, and I appreciated that. I never did business with him later on. But I will tell you this. Joe Pesci captured that role brilliantly from what I knew of Russ. He was terrific. And such a departure from what he normally
Good find,
did.
Sandman.
Being a
This gives us a
laid-back
better
guy like
idea of
that,
what the CL
carrying
has
himself
planned.
with dignity. And I will tell you this, some of the things that really impressed me in this movie, Harvey Keitel played Angelo Bruno. Angelo Bruno was the boss of Philadelphia at that point in time. I didn't know Angelo. He later got killed. He got blown up in a car. There was a war going on at the time. But anyway, my cellmate over in Terminal Island when I was doing time was Rosario Gambino. Rosario was the nephew of Paulo Gambino. He was a Philadelphia guy, and he was under Angelo Bruno. And he would tell me a lot of things about Angelo. He loved him, thought he was a great guy, very fair, at least with him, and fair with his crew. I don't know what happened. I don't remember the circumstances under which they killed him, but whatever, that's mob life, it happens. And that was my connection to Angelo Bruno. And from what I was told about him, because Rosario and I were cellmates for well over a year. We spent a lot of time together. Good guy, by the way. He got a 45-year sentence for a drug rap. He was Sicilian. He wasn't a naturalized citizen here, so when he got out of jail, they deported him back to Italy. His family was nice. My wife and his family got very close. Really nice people. Anyway, I believe he's back in Italy now because he finally got out of jail. Good guy. But what he told me of Angelo, I believe Harvey Keitel played that role really well. So what I want to do is I want to talk about a couple of scenes in the film rather than talk about the entire movie because I already told you the plot was wrong. Sheerhan did not kill Hoffa, so that kind of ruined it for me in that regard. He did not kill Joey Gallo, I'll say it again, so that part of the movie wasn't accurate. However, there were some scenes in there that were portrayed so well that really brought me back to my former life and let me think about it. So I want to go through them scene by scene. Again, brilliant, and just give you my perspective on it. So the whole movie is Frank Sheerhan's story about how he got close to Jimmy Hoffa, and you know, the climatic ending is when Sheerhan does kill Hoffa. Let me give you a couple of scenes that really mattered to me, that just really lit up. And they weren't the most dynamic scenes in the film, but they were important to me because it brought me back. There was real authenticity and realism in the way they were portrayed. Frank Sheerhan was played by Robert De Niro. De Niro's always brilliant, you know that. De Niro was a truck driver. He was a union guy, and that's how he kind of got involved originally with Russ Buffalino. He meets him at a gas station. They connect later on, and Sheerhan starts to get into the life, so to speak. Eventually he gets close to Hoffa through Russ Buffalino, and the story evolves from there. But there's a scene there when Sheerhan meets up with the guy and whispers, says he wants him to blow up a place, a factory. It's a factory that makes napkins and things for hotels. Anyhow, he's sitting down with him in a restaurant. He says, I want you to blow this place up. He pushes an envelope over and says, here, you're going to make some money. So Sheerhan takes the job, and he blows it up. Next thing we now had a relationship. Calls him and says, we have a meeting, you gotta go. So he goes to the meeting, and who's there but Russ Buffalino, Joe Pesci, Harvey Keitel, who plays Angelo Bruno, and Sheerhan. And Angelo starts to question Sheerhan about the factory that and he says, I want the truth, tell me the circumstances. So Sheerhan tells him what happened and how risky it was. Well, it turns out that Angelo Bruno was a partner in the place. You don't blow up any bad guy's place of business. But anyhow, Sheerhan says, hey, I didn't know it. I'll give the money back to the guy. You know I would never disrespect you. I love the way Pesci was just sitting there. And he was kind of looking this way and looking that way. He didn't say a word. He didn't say a word. Sheerhan said, I'll give the money back. I didn't know I would never disrespect you. And Angelo knows that. But I'll tell you what, whether he knew that or not, you don't blow up a guy's business. He could have got killed.
These addresses could be for possible safe houses or other cell headquarters.
Nice work, team. Intelligence will follow up on those addresses. Hopefully it will turn up something useful.
You'd be a dead man right now. And Sheerhan understood that. He got it. So he says, look, I'll give the money back. And Angelo looks at him and said, you don't need it. He says, no, I want to give the money back. I don't want any trouble. And Angelo looks at him and says, you don't need it. Meaning that they're going to kill the guy. So you don't have to give him the money back. Just the way the whole scene was played out was so authentic. So obviously Sheerhan now, to make good and to kind of make reparation for what he did, he gets the contract on Whispers. He meets him on a street corner, walks right by him, boom, boom, 2 shots in the head, that's the end of that. So he made up for it. He got to keep the money too. But the whole scene was played out so well, so often, you know, what I liked about it is that you had 2 bosses there. Sometimes we get wrong impressions of way, you know, mob guys carry themselves. But Angelo Bruno had a certain dignity at that table. You sat down with him, you knew you were with an important guy. The same with Russ. Never said a word, but the way he stood there, the way he carried himself, and I gotta tell you, I was in so many of those meetings. And I like to think I carried myself in a way that people looked up to us. Not some of the stuff that you're seeing today where everybody's just a thug and just a, you know, a killer and all. It wasn't that way, people. We didn't handle ourselves that way. And the bosses like Carmine Persico, like Sonny Francis, like Carlo Gambino, like Fat Tony Salerno, even like the Chin, they carried themselves in a certain way. You knew that these people were important. And when I see that, I'm sorry, I'm not glorifying the life, but I'm just showing you there was a different side of things. That in this life, we didn't survive and prosper for over 100 years by being street thugs and animals on the street. We survived by being smart, by carrying ourselves well, by making people like us. You know, it wasn't always about killing people and hurting people and leaving them in the street. You're hearing a lot of that on social media right now and on YouTube. That's not the way it was at the top level most of the time, at least during my time. And I you know, I can state that emphatically. So it was a great scene in that regard, and I really appreciated it. Another scene that I thought was brilliantly done was with Pacino and the guy who played Tony Provenzano. Tony Pro, who was a mate guy out of Jersey crew, right? And they're sitting in the cafeteria, Hopper's eating ice cream, right? And Tony Pro comes over to sit down at the table with him, and they're having a discussion. And it starts to get heated. And you know right away that Hopper doesn't like Tony Pro. You could see it, right? And Hopper's eating his ice cream, and Tony Pro was talking about money that he wanted returned to him, $1.2 million that's supposed to go back to him. And they were both in jail on the same case, it seemed. Tony Pro saying, I want my money back, and Hopper's saying, you're not getting your money. And Pro says to him, but you had $1.5 million. You got that money back. He said, yeah, but that's my money. You're not getting yours. And they're going back and forth and back and forth, and you can see it's getting a little heated. And Tony Pro is getting mad, and Hoffa is not respecting him because they don't like him. He's eating the ice cream. Eventually, it gets into some real heavy words, and Hoffa calls him out. Calls him names. And he said, "You people." Tony Pro says, "You people," in other words, you mob guys. He was talking down at him. Tony Pro gets mad, and before you know it, he jumps around the table, he grabs Hoffa, they're rolling on the floor. Correctional officers come and they break it up, they're screaming at one another. Bad blood, right? Bad blood. But it was a great scene, just the way the two of them acted. I thought it was brilliant, and I can see things like that happening, really. Okay, so now we have a continuation of that scene. They're both out of prison. Hoffa's now is trying to get back into leadership position in the team. Says he wants to run
Intel should definitely be able to identify the terrorists on this tape.
Good work finding that intel. Perhaps we can gain further insight into the CLL's motives and organizational structure. Mission accomplished. Great job, team. Move to the extraction zone and we'll get you out of there.
And I gotta tell you, in that life, you can't be ready.
We're tracking several vehicles moving toward the village from the east. Looks like enemy reinforcements. Get ready.
Roger that, HQ. Thanks for the heads up.
Andrew Russo and Tom DeBella, I was driving them somewhere and I had to meet with them, and there was traffic unexpectedly on the Bell Parkway, because I always left early. But there was an accident or something, whatever. I got there late. And forget about it. I got a tongue lashing. They don't care what happens. Jump in a helicopter, get out and walk, hitch, do whatever you got to do. Get on a bicycle. You got to be on time. And I'm trying to you got to be at 8 o'clock. You got to be there at 7 o'clock. You can never be on time. So I'll never forget. After I got
Looks like we kicked over an anthill. Let's get to stopping. No choice. Going home. HQ, the area is secure.
And I'm standing outside.
Roger that, Sandman. Area secure. Good job, team. The extraction helo will be touching down shortly. You'll be back in base in no time.
Andrew rolls down the window. He said, "You got the message?" I said, "Yes, boss, I got it." He said, "Fine, I'll go home. I'll see you tomorrow." Taught me a lesson. I was never late again. Trust me. So anyway, true stuff. So anyway, continuous man. He's telling Sheehan, "I ain't waiting any longer. I'm not going to wait." And Sheehan is saying, "Calm down, he'll be here, you need the guy's endorsement, sit here and wait." And he's done, right? Finally, Tony Pro walks in, he walks in with his driver, he's dressed in shorts. It's Florida, it's hot out, 90 degrees or whatever. He's dressed in shorts and he sits down. Pacino looks at him and he said, "You come like that for me? Dressed in shorts like that?" Pacino's got a suit. And they go back and forth. Yeah, it's Florida, it's hot. So I don't care. Wherever I am, I dress in a suit. And for me, that's how you dress. And they're going back and forth. Has nothing to do with what they're meeting there for. And you know why that's so funny? Because so many times the old timers like Hoffy, even though he was an amazing guy, it's so technical. You could spend a half an hour